I'm with, hold on, let me hold this up. We're with Jeff Green at Lock and Climb from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He has got a booth here at the Winter Film Conference, and you have made a ladder. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome,
we
man.
made a ladder for basically doing windshield installations on trucks, so it makes it a lot safer.
Did you do windshield replacement yourself?
No. No.
What, you just woke up one day, hit your head, and said, I want to make a ladder?
No, I started this company about 13 years ago with one idea, and I went to a trade show and I met a major airline there, and I started with one product with them inside the interior of a Boeing 757, and from there and it went to.
How did that happen? Did you get a patent on this?
I've got 43 patents.
Look at you, bro. That's my man. Smart guy.
Yeah, well, I guess my wife calls me smart.
Now,
so.
the patents are important, though, right?
Yeah.
How long something like that take to get?
Yeah, it takes between a year and a half and sometimes 3 years.
What's it cost to get a patent?
Anywhere from 50 to 150,000.
No shit.
Yeah, you gotta have attorneys and stuff and make sure that everything. There's two types of utility patents, so I have both.
That's
utility is basically functionality. So a lot of times people don't want to try to copy utility patents. They'll sometimes a design patent's a lot easier to get, where they can make it themselves. But a lot of times I go for the utility, so nobody can copy.
Better?
Oh yeah,
Stronger.
17 years, yeah. Yeah, and
awesome.
it basically protects you from anybody trying to, it's basically a functionality of your design versus a design is just a design patent.
That's
so
awesome, man. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So what's your background? How'd you get into?
I mean, I have a construction business, and I've been in that business almost 34 years now. My father started the business, and I worked for him up to 32 years ago. He passed away in 2022, and. But I mean, I have about 80 people that work in that business, and then I have this other, I have my Lock and Climb business, and it's growing,
so
every day.
What was it? So tell me, you said you were at a airline company.
I had a device that I had to put it on an extension ladder, and we took it to a trade show, and we basically had these little miniature extension ladders. We were going to do this as a retail. And I went to a safety show, and I'd been traveling, kind of like going all over the place, and I'd be doing trade shows, and just after trade shows, and before I was spending $500,000, and my dad told me, he goes, "Look, you got to figure this one out, kid. It's this thing's getting expensive." So I said, "Okay, well, I went to the show, and before I left, and I went to the show, I'm Catholic, so I went to my local priest, and it was kind of like a Rocky Balboa moment, I said, bless, and because we've been traveling all over the place, and priest said, I'm going to this show, and I said, I'm about out of money here, and he's like, I said, you gotta, throw me a blessing, so he did, and I went to the show, and I met a major airline there, and then that's how started, man. So
the thing is, having a podcast like this, I don't know you, I just met you at the show.
Yeah.
Hearing a story like that is very inspirational, but how many people need to hear, I almost ran out of money in the door for me, or the success that you have now, right?
Yeah.
Like, people see you, they're like, it must be nice, blah, blah, blah. Don't know the backstory, but hearing this on a podcast, people need to know the backstory. Like, you were almost ready to give up.
Well, there's a lot of stories behind this, but all this was going on, and we were still promoting and getting our business going and getting into different aircraft markets and stuff. And then in 2015, my family, we got struck with tragedy, and my son was diagnosed with brain cancer. In 2014, he was diagnosed with brain cancer in August of 2014, and he passed away 11 months later.
So sorry.
So, during that time, he always told me, he said, because I told him, we'd been spending all this money, and I was like, I'm going to give up. And I was in the front of the car one day, and I told him, I said, I'm probably going to, try to get rid of this and sell it. And he looked at me, he goes, Dad, don't ever sell Lock and Climb. It's your treasure. So I kept going and I kept going, and and he passed away in August of 2015 after fighting brain cancer for about 11 months. And but during that whole time, I learned so many different things of just about life. I mean, he was in the hospital at St. Jude for almost about 10 weeks, and then things got worse. So we actually went to the Cleveland Clinic, and he got better, and then we started using some different medicines stuff, and then he had another relapse and died in August of 2015. But it taught me so much during that time frame. Is my family got closer. We got we did so many things together. And a lot of times people it's all about money, but when you have your family and you have the love between it never stops. I mean, even after he passed away, there's a lot of things we still do with this foundation, and I fly people around. I'm a pilot, so I do a lot of things for others that just because I'm fortunate in what I do in my life, but I've got a gift where I can fly people, and I've done that with a lot of different.
When did you get your pilot's license?
I've been a pilot now for 33 years. So
my son is 21,
Yeah.
and we started flying at 13.
yeah,
And he got his pilot's license at 18.
yeah,
And he flies all the time. He on dates, like he'll a girl go, hey, you want to go up in the plane? I'll get, and the only reason I know that is like I look at Instagram or Snapchat.
Yeah.
And he's up there in his plane flying around. And I'm like, my little 21-year-old son.
Yeah.
How cool would it be? I'm not that cool, right? Like I'm old. I'm 52, so I'm sitting there going,
I'm 56. So.
So I'm sitting there going, I'm not that cool anymore. And I'm like, how cool would it be at 21 years old? Just go, hey, baby, you want to go take a
Yeah.
So what inspired you to get a pilot's license?
I was gonna be a pilot when I was out of high school. I'd always I wanted to be an airline pilot, and I interviewed with one of the major airlines in 2000. Before 9/11 hit, and in 2001, and I didn't get hired, so I went in the construction business with my dad, and I worked with my dad fortunately for about 33 years, and I ended up becoming the president and CEO of that company.
Awesome. So Lock and Climb, when did you actually get your first order? What was the price of the first prototype? I'm just kind of go through this prototype of this thing.
When we got into the airlines, we had a ladder that we actually put into the interior of an airplane. And a lot of times you work, when you're in the aisleways, they have to work and they have to change lights and stuff like that. So we made a product that actually fit right into the aisleway of that. And after that was about a $60,000 initial order, and I was like, man, this is like, I was in high cotton, it was like great, and then they say, hey, well, can you come over here and help us with the engines? So we had, so we kind of, did some other things, and then they said, hey, can you help us with the landing gear, and then can you help us with this? And before I know it, I've got a product line where, we can do any Boeing 737 now, any 777, any Airbus A321, A220, 777, 787. Any aircraft that's made, Embraer jets, we can do anything. But it took us 13 years and about $7 million later.
You hear that? $7 million later. Holy Jesus.
So
how big a company do you have now?
Right now, both of my businesses combines about 30 million. So
just the Lock and Climb.
Yeah, it's going to do probably 10 or 11 million this year.
You're separate companies?
Yeah.
You have to keep them separate, right?
Yeah, we do. So
are you the only shareholder?
I am. Yeah.
Are you going to sell any shares to the staff, or you're?
I like to get my money back later. I'm in the process of still getting my money back, but I've been fortunate enough that the people that have worked for me have really they've worked really hard for me over the years, and I've got such a great staff in both of my companies, and they do a wonderful job, and I'm just kind of I'm the guy, in the end that thinks, how'd I get to this point? But it's not been easy,
What'd you come to this show for?
They wanted me to come out here to show a glass ladder that we made. So, and we made it for a major glass company, and it's worked. And I've had probably 10 other companies come up to me and say, hey, we want to see this, so it's
been. You're making, you get some orders for you?
Oh yeah, I think we're going to get a lot of orders. So we had 162 leads while we were here at this show. So in 2 days. So
for you, bro.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, when you drive a truck in there and you drive, a couple of, you got a Tesla in there, and then you got a Land Rover in there, and it kind of gets a lot of people's attention.
It does.
So
absolutely.
we kind of went all out on this thing, and and the thing about it is, you know, my wife always told me, she said, if you're going to go big, you go big or go home, you know? So I kind of went big on this one.
I
So
love it, man. Congratulations.
Yeah.
How many shows do you do a year?
I do about 8 shows a year.
What's another show that you like?
The MRO America show, which is a big aircraft show. Actually, I'm leaving to go to Dubai in November. We're doing the Dubai Expo over there. So
That's going to be big.
yeah, we're getting into the market over there with some of the major airlines. I got a distributor.
Did you just have product shipped over there?
Yeah, I actually just shipped this last week. I shipped a whole bunch of ladders over to one of my distributors, and he's going to start showing it to a lot of the major airlines over there. So
That's awesome. So are you global now?
we do a lot of stuff right now. So we do a lot of stuff overseas. We do stuff in the Dominican Republic. We do stuff in Puerto Rico. We do stuff in England. We've done a lot of stuff over in Canada, Mexico.
Do you make a ladder for interior, like homes or any of that kind of
No, not really. I mean, we're in a specialty unit. I mean, I do a lot of stuff in trucking now, and I my inspiration in trucking was in 2000. Well, when 2020 hit and COVID hit, I was going down the road one night and I saw a truck, and I was doing a lot of business with a major freight carrier. And I was driving by this truck, and I go, this is about midnight, and I was looking, the guy that was with me did a lot of my designs, and I kind of looked over and I looked at the truck, and I go, I wonder how they work on those things. So I already had a design that I was using in a major airline in their engine shop, and I was like, well, I think I can make that work. So we went back and we made it work, and the next thing I know, we went to a trade show, and we got one of the largest companies in the United States there as a trucking company as a customer. And then we built this the whole same profile as I built from the airplanes. And now, we're doing business with all these trucking companies. Kind of crazy. So,
well, so you think if you make a product, going to trade shows is a really good thing?
I think it's the best way to get to the point where you can get to the larger companies and even individuals at this show. There's a lot of individuals, and they've asked us for a lot of different things here that I think we're going to go back and probably craft up that we already know what we want to do. But when you get the input of a lot of the mechanics and the individual owners of what they do every day, that's how we built our business. And basically our slogan is ladders designed by mechanics for mechanics, and we get their input, and then we can take that input and then make a product that works for them. So because ergonomics is a big thing, a lot of these people are getting older. The average age of a worker in an airline's 59 years old. You get somebody in the trucking industry, it's probably between 45 and 50 years old. And we're not bionic anymore. You try to jump off of a tire anymore at our age, you shatter your ankle,
Right,
So
exactly.
It's like, and I try to build things that are simple. A lot of times people try to build things that are complicated and have to do it their way. But I listen to the mechanics, and I mean, simplicity is the best, So and it's like my marketing director, Banning always told me, simplicity is the biggest for the thought of somebody. If you can make it simple, they'll use it. So
That's true. Man, that's awesome. What do you do for fun?
I like to play golf.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna talk to you about something off the air.
I like to play. I like to spend time with my wife and my daughter. I don't hunt much anymore. I like to fish. Yeah. So
Yeah, I like it. We
But
just
I-
went deep sea fishing in Destin, Florida.
Yeah.
Took my
Oh,
boys.
yeah.
Had a
Yeah.
blast, man. We
Yeah.
caught these red snappers. It was cool.
yeah. One of the last deals I did with my dad. My dad passed away in 2022, but we went about 3 years before that prior, and we flew up there in our airplane up to Alaska, and I went fishing up there, man. And that was so cool. I never been to, salmon fishing up there, and then we went up there
That's on my list.
on the river, and I mean, there's thousands of these salmon spawning and stuff, and you could just throw your line out there, and you couldn't eat them, but I mean, it was because it was during spawning season. But I mean, you just sit there and you just caught hundreds of these things. It was so much fun. So, and that was one of the last memories I had with my dad, before he passed away in 2022, and he died 3 days before Christmas. So
Does anybody else you fly with, or you fly by yourself?
I have another guy that flies with me full time. So I'm a captain on a Citation jet. So
Oh, right on.
Mm-hmm.
Got a little 6 8-seater.
It's 8 seats. Yeah. In fact, we're flying home tonight and headed home later and go somewhere else in the next week, man.
Love it, man.
So
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It was a very pleasure to meet you.
No, thank
Jeff,
you.
Thank you so
So-
much for being on.
no, thank
Hey,
you.
if anybody wants to get a hold of you and your company, what's it called? Lock and Climb?
lockandclimb.com.
Lock and Climb Cup. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming over and being on the show, man.
Thank
It's very inspirational, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.